I think it's a lot of people, again, it comes down to like ego and entitlement, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of people out there who believe that they are better musicians than you or Jared or whoever else. And they should be the ones getting this attention because I am better than them and I deserve all that attention. So I think that is, at least from musicians, I think that's almost 100% of it.
Perhaps. I mean, like, yeah, I don't feel comfortable convincing that. It just makes me sound like a fucking, presumptuous ass. But
Yeah.
yeah, it does bother me sometimes, I guess. I see what you're saying, like, especially from musicians who are like really, really, technically amazing, but
Yeah.
they haven't really got anywhere. They've just sort of like struggling, getting by. But they don't really like put any like persona into their content or whatever, or their music. They just, sit on their desk, like head down, playing
Right.
guitar, like super well, but they don't really do anything else. And like they're just so confused, like these guys, about like why it's not working for them. And I guess, yeah, I can definitely see like the envy at that point. In that way, it makes sense to me. Yeah.
Or people in kind of a mediocre band, that are like kind of, like you said, doing everything. Yeah, I guess the way I would think about it is like with these people, they're doing everything they're doing is, there's nothing wrong with it, but there's nothing right with it either. You
Yeah. Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and you're just like, well, why would anybody pay attention to this? If you're just like a competent metal band, well, or competent metal guitarist, there's a million of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just not the world we live in. People forget that this is not just music. It's the entertainment business. You have to
Yeah.
entertain people.
Exactly. And that's what I say to people is like, unless you're in like the sort of top 0.0001% of like talented players, people like that Japanese guy, Ichika Nito, or like
Yeah, or
people like
Jason
that who are just
Richardson.
like they can get by on just their talent. But that's like a very, very, very rare exception. So, most people, I say you have to inject some personality into it because, people relate to you just as much as you're playing and your music. So it's super important.
Right. And I don't know why people are resistant to that, because to me that's an empowering, like that's a good thing. You should like be excited to hear like, hey, people want to get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what you want? And I don't know, maybe people are like afraid, of judgment, or afraid. It's like it's a weird thing where like they're simultaneously, they want attention, but they also are afraid of attention because
Well, it makes
maybe
you
they think
vulnerable
they're,
once you start talking
yeah,
and put yourself out there. It makes you vulnerable. People aren't
right.
always comfortable with that.
Right, which I mean that is true. That like any YouTuber, we all get tons and tons and tons of negative feedback. That's part of the
Yeah,
deal. But that is part of the deal. There's no
yeah.
world in which you only get positive attention.
No, absolutely. Remember, like my when I first started YouTube and Instagram and stuff, I wasn't talking or anything in my videos. I would just do my guitar playing, and then I started to talk, and it was like I was really insecure about it at first. I had this habit of like tilting my head on the side every time I would talk, and I just it was horrible. Like looking back at it now, but you get used to it, you practice, you get comfortable with it, and then like it also depends on like how thick-skinned you are. Some people just really can't handle any negative comments like at all. I mean, for me personally, 99% of it just like goes over my head. It's just like white noise. But some people really take it to heart. You can see the YouTubers who like really are insecure about it. They sort of like highlight every negative comment and like make a massive reply to it. Like post it
Yeah.
in their Insta stories. These are the people who are a bit iffy about it. But yeah,
I used to do more of that. Like I just thought I was doing it mostly just because I thought it was funny. But I
yeah,
realized that it made me look like one of those people. A couple people were like, why do you always give them so much attention?
mm,
And so I stopped doing it for that exact reason.
yeah,
Yeah, and I just it's a weird thing that people, it's like they want attention but they don't want attention. And that's sort of the inherent, I guess that's the part I don't understand about their psychology, because on the one hand, these are the people that say they don't care about commercial success, but at the same time obviously they do want commercial success. So it's just a strange, I guess I don't think of my brain, I don't think I have a creative person's brain. And so it's like observing an alien species to me. Can you help translate?
I mean, I've like a bit of both. I mean, I've had that very much sort of like businessy entrepreneurial sort of mindset, but I also do have like a creative side too, and like I think that's sort of part of what's made my channel successful. I know how to sort of marry both of those worlds. Um, but yeah, I don't know, man. I mean,
So
I
do
think
you
it'll fade out. I think over time, as younger musicians get older and older musicians get older and sort of fade out, I think it'll become less of a thing. But we're just sort of at this awkward sort of tipping point at the moment. It's sort of like a clash of like two different worlds.
Yeah, you're right. To me, it's like, man, this has been going on for at least 10 years. So, like, how is this still a thing? But I think you're right that it is still, these things take longer than, to me, they probably should. So,
Mm.
for you as a musician, do you feel like your creative itch is satisfied with like what you do, or is there a world in which like, oh, I wish that people would just give me attention for my original songs, or like, how do
No,
you feel about that?
not at all. That's why I feel like in the minority in that aspect. I feel like a lot of YouTubers sort of get a bit burnt out with making content. They just want to take some time out to focus on some original music. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
really like writing original music, like not solo stuff anyway. It doesn't really interest me. I just get frustrated. Um, I like writing stuff with like other people sometimes in like a band setting, but I just like making silly videos. I mean, that's what I get the most sort of kicks out of. I mean, that satisfies my creative urges like plenty. I think like and that's what's important on YouTube, isn't it? Number one priority should always be to be conscious of not burning out. And so you need to make content that you enjoy. And like for example, if I had to make video essays like that last essay all the time, I would just get burnt out within like a month. Like once in a while, it's kind of fun to rant like that. But as long as the majority of what you work on is what you enjoy, what you want to do, then yeah, it's